I'd like to call the order of the Committee of the Whole for February 23rd, 2021 at 5:35 p.m. Roll call.
Alderpersons Madden.
Here.
Kubaki is absent. Engelhardt.
Here.
Kapusta.
Here.
Terrence is absent. Hamel.
Here.
And Wolf.
Here.
We have a quorum present.
Thank you. Statement of public notice.
This meeting was noticed, excuse me, in accordance with the open meeting law.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It passes. Approval of the minutes from February 9th, 2021.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. New business. All right. So I've gotten a few comments and maybe snide remarks, I guess, would be best from some of our establishments around town that are brick and mortar about food trucks. So currently, our code is silent on them. They don't mention them at all. Previously, Jeff Munkle, when he was here, his whole take on them was they're not allowed on any public streets or any public areas unless, if you say they had a permit at a park and that was part of their whole permit that they were going to have a food truck there, then they were allowed. Or if somebody came in to Plan Commission and had it as part of their BSO. During COVID, we kind of lightened things up because we wanted to, a couple of the food trucks were local businesses that were just trying to, make a go of it when the world fell apart on them. We're settling, we're not completely back to normal, but we're settling back towards the normal. And I guess I want to get some direction from you guys on where do you want to go on this? My thought on it is there's a couple businesses around town that have them parked out in front of them pretty regularly, and they have nothing to do with their business. For instance, there's a pet store that does them, and I'm not just singling them out, but it just comes to mind. What I'm hearing from places that are the restaurants in town is they pay taxes, they have an investment into the community. The food truck that's coming in, they're not a local business, they're not even paying a permit fee. So, so they're looking at, well, they're taking business away from me, possibly, and not contributing anything to our community. These aren't people that, sponsor our little league teams. They're not paying taxes. And like I said, and they're kind of running under the radar. I don't know which direction you guys want to go on this. My thought is at a minimum, we do some sort of permit for them. I would also say that if it's going to be a regular part of any business, they should come into Plan Commission and get an amendment to their building site and operation, like every other business has to do for all your other operations. I mean, we regulate if you park a trailer out or a truck out in front of most businesses. So,
now, are you saying that if it's a restaurant, not a private business, it just has some other truck out there?
I would, for the most part,
part of the business.
I would say if it's on the business property and it's going to be a regular business, like a regular thing. One time, I can overlook we're having a celebration here this weekend that it's not going to happen for another 6 months.
But my point is that if it's like you said, a pet store and has a
and I don't want to single them out necessarily.
I'm just saying it has a truck out in front. That's not really part of their business, right?
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So you want it to be if it's a restaurant and it has the same restaurant truck out in front, that would be part of their business.
Well, no. I guess we'll go back to the first instance you gave. It's on their property. It's part of their building site and operation. They just have never come to the plan. I mean, they're changing the scope of what they're doing on that site now, and different than what they've ever gotten approval from, because they're operating a truck now.
But it's not theirs, so what they're doing is they might have it there for their employees, but it also can bring business in from other areas.
It could, right? But what I'm getting at is we regulate. Like if that same business were to be parking a commercial truck out there, they would have they technically should be coming in front of the Plan Commission and amending their BSO to do such.
But the difference is the commercial truck's not selling anything. It's not affecting other
Well, I'm using it as an
businesses,
example.
right?
So
I'm just saying what I'm looking at.
If that same business were to put a stand outside and sell pet food out of it, we would require them to come forward for a BSO out of it. The only difference is maybe they're selling tacos out of it.
But if it's not the same owner, how do we work that in the BSO?
Because the land, either the leasee of the land, who's ever in charge of that land is responsible for how the site is operated.
So they'd have to prove insurance and everything with that.
Well, I don't know how far.
If you want to make it permanent, I mean, if they're showing up every day, that's a permanent business, and I think that's what the brick and mortar restaurants are complaining about. That's what I'm hearing, if I'm correct.
Well, I just think we should be looking at it that, okay, maybe if they're going to have that, we got to make sure they have enough park, maybe the business they have is got like 2 parking stalls in it. Maybe, I'm just using this as an example. But that's why we have plan commissions. They look at all that stuff to make sure it's compatible, that use is compatible with that property.
Well, see, that's a good point, because when you open a business, you have to have so many parking spots, and then if you put another business on that business, you have to increase the parking spots.
In a lot of cases, yes, unless they're,
I would think
unless they
so.
happen to be grandfathered in for something, but yes.
So what's your thoughts? And because, some of these barbecue trucks, because they're the ones that I see a lot, you can follow them around to different cities.
Yep,
Monday here, Wednesday here, Thursday they're here.
Yep.
But that's not a regular part of that business
Well,
that
but-
is operating out of the brick and mortar.
so if they're showing up once, let me back up.
You're saying once a week, but, right, Bob?
Yeah.
They're showing up once a week, but they're showing up on a regular basis typically.
That's a regular.
The same thing, so
Business
it's
thing.
not just a one-time thing. Two, there's two different issues here. One is the building site and operation, and the other part is just, I think we should permit them, period. They can buy a permit for a year for whatever, $500. I don't know what other communities are doing, but we
Would
should
that
probably.
be through the operator of the food truck?
The food truck itself should have to get a permit. The landowner should have to go in front of the plan commission for BSO, is my thought. But I don't want to do any of this.
But if they get the BSO, do they need the permit?
Yes,
They're
It would
two
be-
separate
yeah, they're two
entities,
separate
though.
things.
Yeah.
Well, if they include in their BSO, it would be the
you're not
business.
paying-
That was my point before. It's not part of the business.
They're two separate things. Because
But
there's a
when
lot
you
of
put the
things.
BSO together, it becomes one. Am I wrong?
What?
When you put the BSO together, it becomes one. It lets them on their property.
No, it
They're
doesn't.
assuming all the
It
rights
ju-
and insurance.
All a BSO does is make sure that everything is run in a smooth, orderly operation on that site, regardless of what it is. It has
So it would
nothing-
be like a strip mall.
Could be.
That's what, I mean, would be an example. That would be a BSO.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, any property is supposed to have a BSO. Not any, but all new ones do.
But then the brick and mortars.
I doubt Horn Brothers ever had a BSO attached to them.
But I think the brick and mortars, we're talking about paying taxes. And I think that's the stumbling block I've seen in other communities over these debates is the tax issue, is they're not paying taxes.
Well, taxes and, their investment is relatively small and they're just mobile and coming in.
Oh, yeah,
one
I
day
mean,
and
it's a
gone
good
the
thing,
next.
I have no problem with them running a business. I just think that,
And I'm not against food trucks. I mean,
Yeah.
there's businesses in town that have them as part of integral
Right.
part of their business is having them there. And I think they're a benefit, but I still think we should probably permit them for one and make it part of their BSO. I'm not trying to discourage it. I just want to, I think we should get a handle on it before it gets to be a problem is my
well, at least
thought.
get a start of a
Yeah.
handle, right?
And-
This leads
and, what I'm here for tonight is I didn't want to do anything with this if you guys have no interest in pursuing this. And if that's the case, that's fine. I just want to get your blessing to have Adam start doing some research. Jeff does have some sample ordinances from other communities that we could look at. But if there's no interest or if there is interest, that's what I'm here just to gauge.
I don't want to put a heavy burden on them that would be above anything else that would discourage them, I guess. But a simple permit, I don't see any problem with that. And I like to see what,
What is
The other-
what is your thought about the building site and operation part?
I like to see what other communities have done on that, not necessarily saying they're doing it right or we should follow them, but see what they're doing. I guess it depends, you can't split it up like that though either.
I mean, we tend to use common sense on all enforcement here. That, if, like I said, if it shows up here or there, we tend to leave them alone.
Right.
But when it gets to be a regular basis, then that's when we kind of have a conversation. Starts with a letter.
Well, I think that one thing would be insurance would be, they'd have to have proof of insurance.
I don't know if we get involved in that. It's on private property. It really doesn't involve us. We never get involved in insurance.
Well, if they're just showing up, I mean, what, if something happens, I mean,
And we're not liable.
I think that's an extra burden.
Yeah, if
put
they're in a
on the
park, we
business
could say
owner.
that,
I don't
but-
think we need to do that.
If they're in public, we should get an indemnity probably and maybe insurance, but On private property, there's
No,
really
sir.
nothing we can.
That'd be versus a gas station or in the park.
I mean, they are licensed as food entities through Waukesha County Health Department. That's separate from all of this.
So if they're coming up from Milwaukee, they have to have a Waukesha permit as well?
It's a good question. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I
Do
think
they,
they
or they
can
just
get a
need a
state
state permit, maybe? A
He's-
state?
She thinks they can get a state
I think
permit.
It's a state.
It's a
So that they
state.
don't have to get something
That would
different
make
from every
sense.
community that, or every.
Because I see they're
county
traveling around, like Bob said,
Right.
you know. So that would make sense, they'd have a state.
You can see one across the street.
Is your mic on?
Hold on.
Traveling vendors like what?
Well, I couldn't hear you, John.
Is your microphone
Turn your
on?
mic on.
I guess it's not on, sorry. Are they considered similar to traveling vendors like ice cream trucks in the summer?
That's a door-to-door permit, isn't it?
That's a peddler's permit.
Peddlers. permit.
Peddler's permit?
Peddler's permit. And wouldn't they be somewhat similar to that? Would we have
How we
to,
want to view them. They can be anything we want them to be.
I mean, I would feel more like that, and this may be a short-lived phenomenon. If we get back to normal otherwise, they may taper off again, but,
I think,
yeah, I know they're very popular,
a lot of those barbecue trucks have been popular for
Long time.
yeah.
a long, long time.
And you see other kinds, taco trucks and whatnot, in the city more than
I
you
don't
would
think they're
here,
going to
but.
go away.
It's not going away.
Are you, let's try to get this to some focus here. Are you guys interested in at least looking at some fine tuning of this and some regulation of it?
I am.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
But
enough. I
approve
think.
more
I think
research,
that-
yeah.
I think that's all I need right now, and then we'll come back with
Sounds good.
have a deeper conversation on it. Thank you.
Yeah, if you can tell us what the other ordinances are, you know,
Yeah,
because
and
you're doing research on it, that would be
I've
good
got
too.
some already.
And we'll be able to tell you, I can tell you what other communities are doing, because I have,
Just so we don't reinvent the wheel,
right,
that's all.
well, we always try starting with that, you know, so. All right, thank you very much. Any other communications? Motion to adjourn would be in order.
Move to adjourn. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned at 5:47.